A new era dawns time frame. 299 to 248 million years ago. Imagine the Earth as we know it today, but all the continents are smashed together into one giant landmass surrounded by a single world ocean. This was the state of the planet at the start of the Permian period, which began 299 million years ago. During the previous Carboniferous period, Earth's continents had been moving steadily toward one another, and by the start of the Permian, they had collided to form a supercontinent known as Pangea, which means all Earth in Greek. Pangea literally assembled all of Earth's land into one giant puzzle piece, with the exception of a small archipelago near what is now South Africa. The Permian also saw the climate of the Earth begin to change in a big way. While the exact reasons for this are still debated among scientists, the evidence suggests that as the supercontinent formed, more and more of the landmass was being exposed to the sun, leading to higher temperatures. This resulted in a dry, hot, and harsh environment over vast areas of inland that we today call deserts. Wetlands were found along the coast and around river deltas, dominated by giant insects and amphibians. But for the first time, the terrestrial landscape was also inhabited by a new kind of creature, one that would come to dominate the reign of the dinosaurs, the first true reptiles. True reptiles evolved during the late Carboniferous from early vertebrates. Compared to their amphibian relatives, these new creatures had thicker, more durable skin that helped them retain moisture while on land. They also developed a key adaptation that allowed them to reproduce successfully on dry land: amniotic eggs. Amniotic eggs were a significant evolutionary breakthrough. Their shells were made of a calcified tissue called osteoderm, strong enough to withstand the drying effects of the sun and wind. This was a huge advantage compared to the soft, gelatinous eggs laid by amphibians, which could only be laid in water. These adaptations, along with stronger lungs, enabled reptiles to venture farther and stay longer on land. As a result, they quickly became the most successful terrestrial vertebrates of the era. One group of early reptiles, the mammal-like reptiles or therapsids, gave rise to some of the earliest ancestors of modern mammals. Although many therapsids were small proto-wombats, others grew much larger. One such predator was the terrifying titanophone. At 3 meters long, it was one of the largest animals of its time. It hunted alongside other large meat-eating reptiles such as the burrowing Moscorcheles. Meanwhile, smaller reptiles occupied different niches. For example, the capybara-sized Cenosaurus fed on plants and was adapted for life in dense forest habitats. Overall, vertebrate diversity exploded during the Permian. New forms were perfectly suited to both the dry deserts and the dense forests that carpeted Pangea. And with so much available habitat, evolution was able to produce a spectacular array of bizarre and beautiful creatures. But just as life seemed to flourish, disasters struck. 252 million years ago, the Earth experienced the most devastating mass extinction in the planet's history. The event, known as the Great Dying, wiped out an estimated 96% of all marine life and 70% of land species. During the Permian, the seas surrounding Pangea began to turn from blue to green. This was caused by a massive amount of red algae growing in response to a surge in atmospheric carbon dioxide. And that wasn't the only sign that something was wrong. Much like today, the Permian witnessed the existence of multiple continents, each with its own unique array of plants and animals. However, there was one place where all of the world's fauna came together: the tropical regions near the equator. Here, rainforests thrived, teeming with strange creatures. Some of these animals, such as the giant millipede Archosaurus, resembled modern-day arthropods. Others, like the plant-eating Dinocephalians, were more closely related to mammals. And then there were the strange tetrapods, four-footed vertebrates that were either amphibians or early reptiles. Tetrapods came in a wide variety of shapes and sizes, from small dog-like predators to towering herbivores nearly 2 meters tall. Despite their differences, All of these creatures were bound together by their dependence on the lush vegetation of the equatorial forests. In order to grow and thrive, these forests needed ample rainfall. But as the Permian wore on, the forests of Pangea began to wither and die. That's because with Pangea blocking the flow of ocean currents, cold water could no longer circulate from the poles to the tropics. This meant that the warm equatorial waters, which had previously fueled the rainforests, became stagnant. Without the rains, the trees of the equatorial forests slowly turned to desert. By the end of the Permian, lush rainforests had vanished, replaced by arid plains and towering dunes. As the forests died, so did many of the species that lived there. The largest animals hit hardest. Herbivores that once grazed in the rainforests struggled to survive on tough desert plants. Carnivores that had relied on hunting large prey were forced to scavenge whatever they could find. And those that couldn't adapt quickly enough ended up extinct. It's a grim fate that would befall many other large animals throughout history, including the dinosaurs. So why did the Permian mass extinction occur? Well, several factors may have contributed to the event. Perhaps the most likely cause was the massive volcanic eruptions that took place in Siberia. Known as the Siberian Traps, these volcanoes unleashed massive amounts of lava and toxic gases into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and drastically changing global climate patterns. This could have triggered runaway global warming, leading to the formation of deserts in the tropics and causing the extinction of rainforest dwellers. Other scientists, however, have proposed a different explanation. According to this theory, the ocean floors released massive amounts of methane gas, causing ocean temperatures to rise and ocean levels to swell. Yet another theory blames ocean acidification, a process in which seawater becomes more acidic. The acidity could have resulted from volcanic gases dissolving into the ocean or from the release of methane, which reacts with seawater to form acids. Finally, a lack of oxygen, known as anoxia, may have played a role in the extinction. If the atmosphere contained less oxygen than today, animals with high oxygen requirements such as large amphibians and arthropods would have been especially vulnerable. Whatever the cause, the effects were devastating. Coral reefs disappeared for millions of years. The seas teemed with fewer creatures and the forests of Pangea fell silent. The Permian mass extinction cleared the way for a new era in Earth's history, one that would culminate in the age of the dinosaurs. But the Permian also serves as a reminder that life on Earth can be wiped out in an instant. Legacy of the Permian. From the ashes of the Great Dying, new life would rise, eventually leading to the age of the dinosaurs in the Triassic. The Permian ends our story of the early vertebrates, but their descendants will soon be back in a new video, so don't go anywhere. But before we go, let's take a moment to appreciate the incredible creatures of the Permian and what made them so special. The animals of the Permian were truly unique. Take the dinocephalians, for example. These mammal-like reptiles were incredibly diverse, ranging in size from small proto-wombats to giant elephant-like herbivores. Then there were the strange tetrapods, four-legged vertebrates that were either early reptiles or amphibians. Some were small proto-dogs, while others were towering beasts over 2 meters tall. These creatures were unlike anything that had ever existed on Earth before or would ever exist again. What made them so unique was their environment. The Permian was a time of dramatic change when Pangea began to form and the climate shifted from wet and warm to dry and hot. This created a unique set of challenges and opportunities for the animals that lived there. The result was an explosion of biodiversity. The Permian was also a time of ecological innovation. The first true reptiles evolved, better adapted to life on land than their amphibian ancestors. They developed thicker skin, stronger lungs, and amniotic eggs, which allowed them to reproduce on land. This was a major evolutionary breakthrough that allowed reptiles to become the dominant terrestrial vertebrates. Overall, the Permian was a fascinating period in Earth's history. It was a time of great change and upheaval but also of great opportunity and innovation. The animals that lived during the Permian were truly unique and special, and their story is an important part of the story of life on Earth. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the early vertebrates. We hope you enjoyed learning about these incredible creatures and the unique challenges and opportunities they faced during the Permian period. Remember, if you liked this video, you can subscribe to our channel to never miss an update on our latest videos. We have lots more to come, including more stories from the history of life on Earth. So be sure to stay tuned. Until next time, goodbye.